under participants.
All right, we're good. Recording now. And then we should be broadcasting live right now.
Welcome to the third Divvy Ethereum workshop. Today we're going to have a special guest, Jordi Bolina, who will talk to us about his awesome proposal for pool voting for a liquid democracy in the DAO. And we're here to help people get started in using ether.camp and to help each other with problems that we're having as we're experimenting with ether.camp, and hopefully we'll be trying some other environments. We have a pretty small group so far. Hopefully more people will join.
We usually get pretty good viewership on the live coding channel, Jim.
Can you give them the Zoom address on that channel?
Yeah, if some people come in, I'll shoot it over to them.
Thanks. So we have GSJ with us today, and Stoner 19 from the audio coin group, and GSI. Is your microphone working? I mean, is your speaker working? Can you tell us where you are and if you're interested in learning about ether.camp and blockchain, whatever?
Hey, Jim.
Yeah. Oh,
we've only known each other about 35 years.
Well, I didn't know who JSJ was. I guess I should have known GSJ. Great. So, are you? Shall we start going? Get you set up in ether.camp, Grinder?
Yeah. You know what? I'm just going to be listening in for at least for a half hour or so, just to get a little bit gist of what you guys are trying to do. Unfortunately, I missed the previous. I guess you had 2 sessions previously.
Right. Well, since we don't have our guest speaker yet, it would be very good if you would share your screen and we can get you through the setup on the ether.camp.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, I'm on iPad on my work machine. I could, if you just give me an idea what needs to be done, I'll just probably do that right here.
Well, it would be great, much better if we could see your screen. Can you join from your computer also?
Last time I tried that, we had some problem. Remember? That's why I was using the iPad. Well, I don't need to set up for now, Jim. Just why don't you guys go ahead, and I'll just follow through with it. I'll catch up on the previous sessions before continuing. And unfortunately, I have to leave in about a half hour or so.
All right. Then I guess what we'll do is, while we're waiting for Jordi to join, is we can begin going over his liquid democracy contracts, if folks want to do that, and we can talk about how we want to improve them or change them and incorporate them into our community DAOs. He designed it specifically to be compatible with the DAO, and let me Does anybody have any questions or issues before we go on?
Yeah, go, Jim. Just try to give us a little bit of background information on just the DAO, what the Divvy plan is, proposal for some of the people listening to the. Because this is going to be recorded for later viewing.
Well, the Divvy is a DAO cooperative for interoperable communities, and we have scenario folks involved, and we have the Ethereum cooperative people involved. I guess represented by Christian, Brent, and myself here, and I will put a link in the chat, and the chat will be preserved and put in a comment on the video when it's posted. But essentially, all of our communities have the same requirements for decision support, procedural and task support, and we want and identities, which is probably the most which is one of my primary interests, and the interest of the Project Free Trust I'm involved with, identity and privacy, and it's a collaboration for developing strong privacy and security bottom up, so that we help each other be secure and choose private systems. It's a toolbox that you can pick the things you trust to communicate, and Divvy is aiming to make these things interactive, so that identities in one organization can collaborate with identities in other organizations, etc. And it's an aggregate identity. It's bring your own identity, and then build strong identity and within your trust circles, and be trusted as your own identity provider, because you give good information and you have the best information and you don't lie about your identity, and have that trust be accepted by the organization and ultimately by integrated into the identity ecosystem, to give you a national and global identity with trust factors. So, what we're, from the scenario point of view, we're trying, to automate our group processes, and we figure, why, and Scenario is willing to support that to some extent, but why should Scenario pay the whole bill when every community needs the exact same things? And we're going through our company, Proven Secure, to get funding through OWASP, which is which is an autonomous community of thousands of security makers, breakers, and users who can use this for their own organization and the communities of their users. There's a lot of aspects to it. I don't want to take up the time here. If you go to the link, we have a living document where you can participate, and you can add your community and yourself as a representative of that community to the platform collaborative that Divvy is aiming to make, so that your community's needs can be met by the Divvy DAO. So read that and join us. Any questions about that?
So what's the agenda for today?
Well, we have a guest speaker who said he's coming. I guess I should bug him. Jordi Bellina has written a liquid democracy set of contracts for the DAO, compatible with the DAO, which allows you to become in essence a representative, and so that anybody can pool their votes into your votes. And that way they don't have to be smart about all the contracts in there. If they trust you to make good decisions about what the DAO should do, which projects they should fund or not fund, they can delegate their stake in the DAO, the tokens that they have purchased into the DAO, and have the ETH currency given to the projects that are most likely to succeed, and give them a return on investment or functionality of the DAO that they want.
So is this something like proxy vote?
Yes, exactly. It's proxy where it's a proxy system, exactly. Okay, what we want to create for Scenario and Divvy is not is for making decisions, for helping to make decisions, but it's a little bit more fluid in that you're rather than always making a formal pool, you can more flexibly assign your vote to anybody, and have the more liquidity, and also assign your vote based on the domain of the issue. You might not have the same person. You might not delegate your vote on a issue involving what we should order for lunch to the same person that you delegate your vote to for who should be a community leader or something like that, or a community manager. So depending on the domain of the issue, you can, we would want that. So we're looking at, taking the concept of the delegated voting to the next level. What Jordi has done is pretty cool in that, your vote is a contract. So you're not stuck really with any one way that your vote is delegated. You can have a contract for your vote that says something like, well, if the price of beans is X, I vote this, otherwise that, or vote for me, in 20 days, or anything you can imagine, can be done in the contract. I mean, it's Turing complete. So let me ping Jordy here.
Yeah, I know we've just kind of been tinkering around trying to see if there's any way to come up with some kind of code to formalize something just to make it autonomous. But I'm thinking just kind of hang out in the pocket and just take your advice on some of this stuff and just be patient. But I'm thinking like micro DAOs. I don't know if get into that discussion, but I'd like to see what we could do. If not, even see if there's any nonprofits that would fund that, and then maybe tie it into the liquid democracy. But we'll just see where this goes.
Right. Yeah, there's a number of opportunities. We plan, and I probably should just bring it up for you to see real quick, and then I'll get to the meat of what we're talking about here. Okay, this is the Divvy document, and it's amazing how many people are in this document. There's a tremendous amount of interest in it. I always look in here and I see a bunches of people in it, and I suppose they're just stealing ideas from it, but it's good that there is interest. Amazingly, there's very few comments and very few people are editing. Okay, everyone comes in suggestion mode, so they can, they're free to go in and make a mess or change, make fixes or improve things, and then I and the other editors can accept or reject the suggestion. Okay, so this is a participate. This is an active community, and and the community. The communities that are involved, more or less, are Scenario, Free Trust, OWASP, and I guess if we should put, Free Trust is really being sponsored by Proven Secure. OWASP, okay. Now what happened to this? B Corp, I could have sworn I fixed this.
Hey, Jim.
Community, yep.
I have a question. So did Douglas Rushkoff, is he still in and out on the Scenario Gov Dev channel on these issues, or is he just kind of strapped up with time to dedicate to the Divvy DAO proposal, or is that two separate issues?
I'm sorry.
Douglas Rushkoff, I was wondering what the status of getting him on board with this one.
He's been very quiet.
Mm-hmm. But he's still on, though.
And that's why I have a question mark by his name. Okay, he's looking for a community legal cooperative is what he's interested in. He wants, somebody with B Corps and other things. He wants to be able to help these communities that come to him all the time and are trying to set up community currencies and all kinds of things like that. And what they need most is legal assistance in setting things up. I mean, Doug can tell them how to, what they need to do, but they need help in how to do it. And, this would be a great, unfortunately, we have only a couple of lawyers on board, and maybe they're not experts yet in that area. We have Evan, who's been very active and helpful from the scenario community, who's a lawyer. And we've had some, we have some law people in the free trust and et cetera, but that needs to be organized. So we have the Ethereum cooperative, we have the DAO itself, and Jeff Jeff was said he was going to be here today.
I'll message him.
Jeff Anthony, who's just this amazing character, who's got his hands in almost every project. He's even worked with, I mean, you just look around, he's touching everything, he's fixing everything. He's been very helpful in Divvy. He's one of the few people that have made a substantive contribution. We have Lively Gig, and I put a question mark there because Ed Eichel has a very traditional business point perspective, and it's a little hard to get him on board. I'm trying to work with him to develop the future of work, which is his arena. Lively Gig is about getting, getting jobs, posting and getting jobs or gigs, and how the contracts are all handled for, safety for the contractors and the workers. Now the DAO itself, okay, obviously needs a community, and Jeff is looking at that. Okay, backfeed is another question mark, but we're have a long-term interest in collaborating with backfeed with Scenario, and we can employ their protocols and stuff in our stuff. Looking at the code, it seems a little bit primitive right now, but they have some really great ideas and really talented people involved. Primavera, what's her name, and other folks, I'd like to get Colony involved, but they somehow think this is a competition. It's very hard to get people to commit to a platform collaboration because nobody benefits, in a sense. Although we have put in some mechanisms for rewarding contributors to the project, whether they contribute ether, dollars, code, or whatever. We're looking to monetize open source to a certain extent, and other kinds of participation as we get funding. And speaking of funding, we have a number of things going on. We have that Scenario has indicated that they would be willing to provide their currency amps for the developments in the Divvy that meet the needs of the Scenario community. And we're working to make this to make this a proposal to the DAO for use by the community of the DAO. um, and provide a mechanism for the provide a mechanism for the investors in the DAO to receive a small fee for the transactions involving the Divvy compatible tokens. And it's important that the tokens are interchangeable or can be interchangeable, and our development of facilities for trading the tokens of communities will take a small fee, which will go back to Divvy for improvement and maintenance in part, and to the contributors and investors, including the DAO. We'll have our own Divvy token, which we're going to implement, which will be the rewards that we give to contributors, which will give them a vote in conflict resolution. This is community driven, it's software driven, I mean, it's user driven, it's with democratic principles, not a pure democracy, but we're starting with multi-level of community leaders or managers that can be elected by everyone, and then the members by popular vote can essentially override the managers or leaders by 3/4 vote. Not every community that's part of Divvy has to have this same structure, but this is the structure that we're planning for scenario, and unless somebody has a better plan, we might as well use the same basic model. Okay, so scenario will support it. Okay, we have the OWASP community. Where is this? Oh, the OWASP community, OWASP proposal. We have, we've been encouraged by OWASP, which is this international autonomous organization of security makers, breakers, and users, to make Free Trust, which is one part of Divvy, one of the partners in Divvy, a OWASP supported project. And finally, the Macarthur Foundation has a program that is very close to asking for the kind of thing that Divvy is doing. They have a $100 million competition to help solve critical problems of our time. And we haven't started working on it yet, but we're planning a proposal to the Macarthur Foundation. As well as we've had proposals with Free Trust to the NSTIC, the National Strategy for Trustworthy Identities in Cyberspace. We made the finals in one proposal. We had a related DARPA grant through Proof and Secure on multi-factor risk quantification, so that we can, quantify the risk in an interaction based on reputation and security and privacy and such. Where am I? Oh, Kim Kagan is in. My goodness, I'm getting some help here. Sweet. Okay. You never know. Let me stop this temporarily and get some feedback and questions from the peanut gallery. Uh-oh. Jordy's not coming to this. He's going to be at the communities. I misunderstood. Oops, I misunderstood. Okay. So with that, let's, oh my goodness. I guess I'll just give a little demonstration of ether.camp, if that's, unless there's something else that somebody would want to do. Wait a second. Yes, right now. So Jordy is going to join us. Let me just give him the link.
He's out of Spain, isn't he?
I'm unsure. I don't know what this is. A hidden new share? What does that mean?
What did you hit?
A hidden new share. I don't know if Christian's around, if he knows what that did. I don't know what it did, but I stopped the share temporarily so that. Oh, we got Ian and Bloom on. Good to welcome, Ian. It's good to see you. Ian's from the Scenario community.
Yeah, I think Jory is in China right now, if I'm correct.
Well, you know, he's willing to join. You know, if he's going to talk at the community leader meeting, I don't know. I mean, the Scenario community meeting in 2 hours. I don't want to ask too much of him, but it would be good if he came in and, you know, he's asking. So while we're waiting for him, there he comes.
There he is.
Hey, Jordy, welcome. I was just about to start a ether.camp demo because we had nothing better. We had nobody that needed to be set up, and I misunderstood that you were going to be joining us this morning, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you again at the Scenario Community Hangout later. So it's a misunderstanding, it would be great if you could tell us a little bit about liquid democracy. Maybe go over your README page or something.
Hello.
I did get, you know, I did speak about it a bit before, but We would like to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Hello?
Jim, I think you're on mute. Jim.
Yes, I am speaking on mute. Sorry. We don't hear you, Jordy. Are you speaking? Do you have a microphone?
Yes, I have a microphone, but I'm at a place that it's a little bit noisy, and I think that's jumping my face when...
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was on mute. I was asking you if you want to give us a little introduction, maybe go over your README page on the DTH pool thing. I was looking, I've been looking at it, and it's really cool. There's a lot of things I like about it. There's a lot of things we want to change for the Divvy community, but it's a great project, and I'll vote for it if it comes up.
Okay, if you want, I will just show you just an image that I think that it explains very much what DTH pool is. Let me see if I'm not used to this computer. I can share the screen, right? Share screen.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what I want to show, okay, is let me first another one. Oh, moment. Here is okay. Zoom. Sign in. Okay. Yeah. Hello. Hello. Hello.
We can hear you, but we don't see your screen. You have to hit.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not used to that. Okay, this is, I think, this. It's well, see where. Here is maybe. Google Chrome, probably is this one.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, okay. Okay. You can see here. Right. Okay, so mainly the picture that I want to show here is this one. Okay, what you do in DTH pool is, okay, you have a contract. This contract doesn't belong to nobody. It's just a contract that it's in the Ethereum. So it's not the delegate contract, and it's neither the DTH contract. It's a contract between a DTH or a group of DTH and a delegate. From the point of view of the DTH, what they are doing is they are just depositing his DAO tokens in this contract, okay? And for that, the DTH contract, you get like another token. It's like a delegate DAO token, and it's a token that you can always restore your tokens back to you. So if you deposit, for example, 5 tokens in this contract, you always, at any time, you can get your tokens back to you. So this is by contract, and this is done in the DTH pool. And once those tokens are inside the DTH pool, the delegate can use that tokens to vote to the DAO. And this process of voting is not directly, so the delegate just does not vote directly to the DAO. That what the delegate does is he just set up a vote intention. So it could be maybe, for example, 1 week before the closing, the voting closing time, and the DTH holders can check this intention of the delegate and just see if they agree or if they are not agree. And they always, at any moment, they just can restore his DAO tokens back and vote for himself if they don't like what the delegate is doing for him. So the DTH, they are always having control on what's going to vote.
That's really cool. I love it. I love it. Does everybody following him? Does everybody know what he's talking about? I guess so.
No, it's just I see there's just a lot of people that might be apathetic, or they're just. I think there's a lot of confusion with the DAO, and I think it helps steer people in the right direction. You know, I think it will help them out as far as helping people arrive at decisions. And I mean, it beats special interests. So it's right now it sounds interesting.
You know, the worst thing to do is force people to vote who don't have all the information. And this is what really makes democracy bad, is that people don't know, they don't have the facts. And if they know who who has the facts that they believe and they trust, and they can delegate to those people, then we can make much better decisions. And this liquid form means that anybody, you can if you trust me, you can join my pool. But if I do something stupid, you can take your tokens back and vote in. If I'm going to do something stupid, you can take your tokens back and vote yourself. I think it's wonderful. I love it.
Yeah, or just delegate your votes to another delegate. Okay. And this is the main idea, just say that the vote is not done in the DAO just until the last minute or the last hour, just before the voting ends. So the one advantage of using this kind of contract is that your tokens will never be blocked. Well, will be blocked maybe for 1 hour or for 30 minutes, just before each proposal voting period ends. And that's okay. That's one of the concerns that the DTH have. Okay, if I vote no, for example, in the proposals that are already set up in the DAO, you will not be able to transfer those votes, or you will not be able to split that votes. So with this contract, you just set up your delegate. So you set up your vote because you know what the delegate is going to do, or you can even change the delegate if you want, and you just forget about it. One way to use this contract, for example, there are people that they are just telling me that one way to use this contract is it says, okay, I want to be the DTH holder and the delegate, and I want to use only this contract just to make the vote in the last minute. Right. And it's just okay. It's another use of this contract that can be used if only one DTH, one DTH and one delegate, and it's the same one they're using just for this. Other use is, for example,
the other thing about having it vote the last minute that's good is a lot of people will see, oh, this proposal has a lot of yes votes, so I don't need to even bother to vote on it. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you vote early, it may discourage people from voting.
The thing. One thing, Jim, is this you can. This is a public contract, so anybody can just read or see what the delegates are going to vote. Even if they don't vote directly to the DAO, they can check. It could be, for example, a repository of delegates of those, and maybe just one contract that just pulls to all of these delegates and see what they are going to vote, and they can count that. So it doesn't hide anything.
I have a question, Jordi.
Yeah.
I'll speak for the United States in this example. Politicians speak out of their mouth. They lie to get elected, and then that's on them after they get elected. In the delegate form of things, if somebody pools the vote and then turns around and does the opposite of what they were claiming to do with the pool of votes, how would that be reflected in their trust factor? Or Jim, maybe you might have an answer with that in the scheme of things, but that would be my concern with people that flip-flop their votes or lie to try, getting the delegated authority and then, use that vote in that regard.
In this contract, the delegates cannot change their intention vote. Once they decide what they are going to vote, they cannot change that. And after they set up the intention of the vote, all the DTH holders, the voters, they can decide just to remove his tokens from this delegate and just remove his tokens from this delegate and just vote for themselves, or just transfer these tokens to another delegate that is going to vote what he wants to vote. So no problem at all. The thing is that you have always, at any time, the control of your vote.
Okay, that clearly explains that their intended vote can't change, and that's basically contractual and binding.
Exactly. It's a contract.
Thanks.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, I just wanted to show you another interesting thing of this contract, and it's this one. I think that may be of interest with you. This is exactly the same the same architecture that you saw before, except that the delegate, instead of being just a human, just a single person that just controls this DTH vote, that's control what's going to vote, here you can put another contract. And this contract can have another rules. So here is a place just to put, for example, photocracy delegates, just to put social kind of delegates, any kind of decisions, rules for the votes. So this is, okay, I think that this is a way to grow the decision-taking procedure can be improved very much with this. This could be, for example, a pool between people in somewhere else, or it can be maybe a photocracy, or it can be maybe a follow-up or an average of what is doing this one and this one. So here is an open place where you can put the rules on how you want to vote. And well, just another interesting part is okay. This is not implemented yet, but an easy thing to do is, for example, if you want to vote, for example, if you want to imagine the delegate wants to say, okay, I don't want to give a 100% yes or a 100% no, and I say, okay, I want this because for the algorithm or whatever is deciding, I just want to put, for example, a 60% yes and a 40% no. Here, what we do is, okay, we split with equal number of tokens with, for example, 5 subcontracts, and each of these contracts votes directly to the DAO. And maybe if the decision of the delegate is put 60%, then 3 of them will vote yes and 2 of them will vote no. And the concept is exactly the same. You just delegate this to the pool, but instead of putting all the votes in one contract, these tokens are divided equally to the number of contracts, and they can vote in an average. I think this is very interesting in this situation when, for example, there is some decision that's not 100% yes or 100% no.
Yeah, I love this too. I mean, this is just awesome. I mean, this is range voting.
Okay.
And that's one of the requirements that we're working on for Divvy is range, and scenario is the range voting capability. Like, consider it, sort of.
Jordi, I have a question at that point. Can you give an example of a scenario where somebody would want to do range voting with these proposals?
Well, imagine. I think it's better. It's you know it better.
Yeah. No. If you go to consider it, DAO.consider it or scenario.consider it. That would would show you how people can split their vote, basically. And the thing is that it's like, I don't know whether I want to support this proposal or not. I think it has a 50-50 chance of returning a value of a return on investment. So I'll put half my DAO tokens in it. The DTH is the name of the DAO token. I keep getting confused because people, I forget these things.
I agree with that.
Now that helps out because just me thinking of voting, I'm always thinking you're like diluting your own vote. But I guess when it just narrows it down to a couple of proposals, you can pick the best of both worlds with that range voting. Yeah. I guess
you definitely have to watch the video that I placed on there. I don't know if it'll change your mind. A lot of people say range voting is stupid. You're obviously going to vote 100% for one thing and 0 for everything else. And but you're in some cases you're chopping off your foot by doing that, especially when you have multiple alternatives. This is maybe less useful in the case where you're only having a binary yes/no vote. But the thing is here, if you have two proposals that you like, now let's see, it doesn't work here, but when in the case where there are multiple alternatives, which we plan to support in the Divvy, the range voting will be very important.
Yeah, and it's what it gives power to the algorithms of pondering different things, and at the end the result is not 1 or 0. It's maybe 60-40 or 50-50 or 70-20, and they are different. Just another thing that I just want to share with you, one thing that I would like to just ask you on what you think about is, okay, do you think that the delegates should be paid, or what's the way to should be paid? In this contract, I just don't consider it at all. It just says, okay, everybody use it, but okay, I'm just thinking, okay, I think that the delegates, they are doing a job, so they should be paid somewhere. Yeah. Here is just a thing. Just wanted to ask you what you think about it.
I think.
Go ahead, Jim.
Probably saying the same thing. I think the delegate should be able to set any fee they want.
I was going to say, let the market decide. If somebody wants to ask for it, if you don't ask, you don't receive, and if other people see the value in it, they will. So why not keep everything on the table?
But for example, do you think that exists any easy way to measure the quality of the vote? Okay, say this decision. Okay, I vote yes, and okay, this yes that I decide no, maybe 1 year later, can I evaluate if that yes is good or is bad?
You can develop definitely use this for developing reputation. I really like that. The other thing is, you can add to the delegate contract a campaign contribution. Okay. So that you can contribute to the you want this guy to work for you, basically.
Can you quantify the tokens that come in and measure that against the vote and say this is what it meant? We were able to see that obviously a flood went to this guy who's a delegate, and he's voting the way that people want, and historically he's putting points on the board through the vote, and because they're passing. I guess it would be a thought bubble that I have.
That's a little following vote. I don't know if that's if everybody just vote following somebody else, just trying to find the majority, what the majority votes. I don't know if it's if this is the best way to make decisions.
No, I mean, it brings in conflict of interest and special interest money, and that is the problem with the current model. But I guess this is just kind of branded up. So.
You know, the special interests are not going to vote for a proposal that's going to fail and not return an investment in most cases. Okay, yes, you're absolutely right. That will happen. And I think with good decision support processes, it's going to be less likely, because we're building our consensus from the bottom up, not what the media is paid to tell us. These delegates who receive the most number of delegatees, okay, can make a democratic election of representatives, which is a really cool thing, I think. Do you understand?
Yeah, one of the things that I was thinking about is, imagine that, for example, that the DAO decides for a proposal just to give, let's say, 1,000 ethers to the delegates. And instead of giving in a equal, just one vote, one ether, just imagine that you square that as much. So if you have a lot, if you have the double of delegates, or if you have the double of tokens, the delegate that has the double of tokens than the other delegate, he receives 4 times more than the other delegate. So it just incentivizes the concentration of voting in some way.
Yeah, well, you know, we're in Divvy, we're very much interested in the democratic process, and I think this can lead to a democratic election of representatives, which is, you know, was my point. Proof of, you know, stake is an important branch of government, in my view. It's sort of like the Senate. Whereas, you know, the popular vote is like the House of Representatives. And these are the kind of structures we want to develop in Divvy, which have multiple, you know, we're bringing communities together, starting with the small community that's peer-to-peer. 2 by 2, we get consensus, and then we build groups of 5, and then 12, and then whole organizations, and maybe states or nations. In our research, bottom up 2 by 2 was the best way to get the collective intelligence of the group, so that the group decision is better than the best individual solution.
I was thinking just along the lines of if you give somebody the opportunity to lead their group, you know, those that show up win. But if you start breaking things down, I don't care if you start going into like solar industry for DAO, or a tribal chief, or, you know, some leadership stepping up to the plate for a nation state tribal reservation system. I think the DAOs can change things, and I bet you people would congregate amongst a solar or a tribal chief if it's representing them, and these are people that can be trusted, and that's the direction people want to go. I think things could heat up pretty fast.
I wish there were some, you know, I wish Johnny Dabrowski and a few other people were in on this. You know, I think that, you know, these are the people we should talk to about setting up these kind of communities and employing the DAO. it needs a lot of other, communities need a lot of other things besides the DAO in order for it to be effective, and it has to be a lot easier than it is today to use. You know, that's our job, is to make it easy and provide the functionality they need for decision support and task support and organizational support in a not in a, you know, not in a organic way. Okay, sort of like the delegate here, delegative method, but it's organic in that, you know, your work group has your own rules and your own contracts, and then you collaborate with other work groups or whatever, and come up with the consensus there, and then the communities act then to vote again. And at each level, you can have a stake branch and a popular branch, democratic branch. So, you know, they're not exclusive of one another, they're complementary. And there's all kinds of different stakes that people can have. And we want to support those, as well as, you know, investing money is not the only thing that gives you stake. We're going to give you Divvy tokens in Divvy as a proof of cooperation, and these will also give you a stake in decisions.
I also see how, I mean, we're talking contract and cryptocurrency, which less than 0.5% of the population even knows about, I'd probably say. And I'd say, I think there's a lot of room for like matching funds, or, you know, just pooling resources far beyond just the cryptocurrency. I mean, if you had a delegate and people wanted to, you know, support that individual, I could see them doing it in the real world and tying it into the DAO, and not just limiting cryptocurrency or Ethereum or DAO functions.
Yeah, well, you know, we'll have the, you know, the Divvy, you know, with the Divvy, we'll strive to make all coins interoperable and provide all communities with a coin that is, you know, the ability to create a coin that is interoperable. I think we should, while we have Jordy here, maybe you could go over the contract with us quickly and maybe answer some questions. That would be wonderful if you could do that.
Okay, just show me what everything. I'm just open to everything, you know.
Just the main you know, just the, you know, the basic delegate stuff. The solidity is what is what I'm talking about. The main solidity for the liquid democracy, for the pool.
Well, we'll see if the people is using that. Let's see how it's gonna work from now. Guys, I have to leave now. I'm in a work, and there are people that are waiting for me. So I don't know if later it's still open, the presentation for later or not, but I know I have to leave now.
Okay, well, we really appreciate your time here, and it was great to hear from you. And we'll go over the code. I guess we really don't need to have you here to do that.
Okay, if you need anything, just you can contact me via the chat, or you know where to find me. So anything that you have, I'm open to answer anything and whatever. Okay.
Okay, great, Jordy.
Okay, see you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. That was just awesome. Wow. Basically, we have a choice here. We can go over the code, some of Jordy's code in Solidity, or we can go over the ether.camp setup so that we can actually start running these things. Can we have a vote? I guess, you know, you can raise your left hand if you want ether.camp, your right hand if you want DHT pool contract review, or say DHT or ether.camp in the chat. You don't see any hands.
Why don't you review the what were you going to do about ether.camp?
I was just going to go over the basic setup and how to run and modify, you know, make small modifications to the example application, and how you can just run contracts like, you know, make a contract and run it for like a token or whatever. You know, this, you know, we're trying to, you know, this is a program or be program thing. We're trying to make programming for anybody you can copy and paste can program. And, you know, the Solidity is almost human readable. You know, anybody can make little changes to it and customize it for their own use. So we can actually do an example. And in fact, I know exactly what we'll do. We'll set up Jordy's DAO. Duh. Okay, I'll share my screen. So the DHT votes and the ether votes are going to be satisfied in one thing. It'll just take us a little while to get to the DHT. Not very long. Okay, we sign up for ether.camp. Okay, and we select the test network. So we don't want to pay real ether. We can get free ether. We don't really need that as long as we're working in our sandbox. When we're working in our sandbox, we have our own Ethereum blockchain for free that we can use for any purpose. So we get, we sign up, we sign in. Oops. Okay, and well, actually, I signed into test. You want live.ether.camp is what you want to go to. Where's the chat? Chat. There it is. Where'd it go? I don't see it. Oh, it was slow coming up. Live.ether.camp. And when you come in, you sign in and you see the token. You'll see the icon for ether.camp. It doesn't show up on test when you log into test, but so you have to do it from live. I was at test. Okay, and then it will bring you into your workspace. and give you a little Cloud9 welcome, because this is a Cloud9 system. It gives you your own Linux server and your root, and you can really do anything you want. It's really cool. And it starts out with the workspace. You have an example project, okay? And the example project has a README file, readme.md, and the README gives you some basic instructions. Now, I've modified my README here with more instructions, because unfortunately the instructions are missing a lot of steps, which is why we should arrange to have a hangout to help people go through building the process, because once they know how to build it, it becomes pretty simple, just following the steps. And you know, when you have a new project, you know, and you import a project, you're going to build it, and it's going to have a README, and you're going to follow the steps, and it'll usually work. If not, you have to go to the right Slack or GitHub to put in an issue and find out how to fix it. People are very helpful in most places, so you don't need to know a lot in order to get stuff running. Now you see here, I also have a wallet, the wallet loaded in my workspace as another project. But we're going to be playing with the example project today. I still need some experience playing with the wallet project in order to demonstrate it properly. And I also have added a token contract, which is very simple, so that we can create contracts, create tokens, and pass them around, so to speak. You know, experiment with the token, whatever, debug it, get it ready to deploy. Okay, and you know, when you're ready, you just are going to click send contracts to net, which will go either to the test net or to the real Ethereum network, and run on the network where we can all run them. We can share them. And hell, if we can use the test net, and if we don't use it too much, we never have to pay any ether. And there's a few test nets around that we can use. Although you have to be careful, because they're not guaranteed to keep anything, which can be a problem. But at least we can run proofs of concepts and make sure they work and all that stuff. We come in to the contract. I won't go over in detail today the steps, but we're going to have to do a couple of things. Okay, every time we run a sandbox, every time, you know, we hit the run all contracts button. Okay, and it says, do I want to save this file because I modified it? I didn't really modify it. I'll just say yes anyway. And voila, the sandbox panel shows up on the right. And because I have the token contract in there, in the create of that contract, it doesn't provide values for all the variables. And the variables that it doesn't provide a value for, it needs me to supply. So how many coins do I want to create? What do I want to call them? Decimal units, how many decimal places? Eight's standard. I'll just use 4 here. And that's just for display. When you display tokens, how many decimal points do you show? And if you read the comments in the contract, you'll know that. It's really simple. Token symbol string, DVY, we'll call it. Oops. DVY. Okay, submit. Now, I could have just hit the escape key if I didn't plan to use this contract. I didn't need to create it. Or if I just wanted to use that contract, I could pull down here. I could bring the contract up. I could go into the contract and show it in my editor here, and then click Run Current Contract here, and it would just start a sandbox and start a sandbox, and then run just the token contract if that's the only thing I wanted to run. And of course, the token contract could include some other modules. That's a, you know, so you can have a main contract that includes all the other things you want. I ran the sandbox here, but I look here and I see that the sandbox ID, okay, here, every time I run the sandbox, I'm going to get a different sandbox ID. This is really, you know, which Ethereum I'm talking, which blockchain I'm talking to is the sandbox ID, without knowing which blockchain I'm talking to. Obviously, it's not going to do too well. And here I have a sandbox ID on line 20 in my apps.js under the source, under the web. Under source, under web, I have app.js, and in that and this is the test program. App.js is what we're going to run from our web browser when we launch the web page from our server that we're going to start here. I have to change this to be what? For some reason, you have to use Control V and Control C and Control V sometimes, and I don't know why. But in any case, the sandbox ID now matches here, and I want to save this file. I can hit Control S or save, and it says all changes saved up here. You always look for that because it goes away. But if you don't have all changes saved, you're going to get a bad surprise when you run the thing and nothing has changed and the changes aren't done. Okay, and this bottom pane here is a regular Unix page, and you can see that I changed directory here. You know, if I change my directory to the top, that's my home directory, pwd /root. I'm root. So I can cd to my workspace, and I can type wo tab, and it fills out the rest of it. And then I want to go into the example project. Example project. Okay. Now, the build system they use here is pretty cool. It's called Gulp. And normally you set up your build in some kind of HTML or JSON or whatever. But this is a JSON build file, which basically tells, you know, all the dependencies and what we're doing in JSON, which is pretty cool because it can, oh, that's package.json. Sorry, looked funny. Oh yeah, gulp file. Gotcha. It's JavaScript. It's not JSON. Sorry. JSON is what a lot of them use. Gulp uses the gulp file.js, which is another form of the configuration. It's equivalent basically to the package.json, which might be used by other builders. But so you can build this with Gulp or whatever, but they prefer Gulf. I don't know if the other one works or not. Okay, so what I need to do is I have to run, if I've made any changes to my program, I have to run Gulp, which builds it. Now, over here I have, in the web directory, I have HTML pages, like the index.html. Now, if I change an HTML file, I don't have to run Gulp or do anything. It serves the new file immediately. So you can make web pages here and just using whatever tools you want, and just stick them here, and your server will start serving them. Pretty awesome, huh? I run Gulp to build the system because I changed one of the source files, and it does some stuff, and it doesn't give us any errors, which is good. And so now we can run our server, and you have to restart the server each time. But as long as you're running the server in this command window, you won't forget to kill it before you run Gulp again, because it's running in the terminal window, and you have to hit Control-C to stop it. This is good because it also gives you the server lock here. Now, if I need another bash window, I can always just open a new terminal, whatever. Just leave this window for Node, for my Node server to run. It's running a Node.js server, obviously. Okay, now this gives us the local host addresses, which is, oh yeah, just for your information, even though we're not going over the whole thing. For the URL here, we had to change it to match the URL that I have up in the URL bar here, because this is the machine I'm at. Now, if you're running this on your own machine, then you don't have to change that, because these addresses to localhost will be correct. But that's two changes on two lines, like, you know, in the app.js. It's pretty simple. Now I can, I got the server running, I made my change, whatever. Just for the hell of it, now I'll go back to my index.html, and I'll make a change here. I'll just say, put on the call button, app.js as another test. Okay, and then I use Control-S this time to save it. All changes saved. Now I'm going to go to my web browser, which I already have loaded here. I'm going to load that page. Okay, oops.
Hey, Jim. Hey, can you hear me, man?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. But I gotta go I gotta go to the store real quick and get the lens. I think HJ called the conference and it is legit. So I'm gonna go buy a lens. I'm gonna keep this recording going.
Right.
I'll try to be back in like 20 minutes or so.
Okay, we'll see you in a few.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. For some reason, we got the index of the wrong directory here. We have to go into web and get the index.html. Now, I never had to put web in there before, but you can see here, because of whatever happened, I can actually browse the tree here. And by the way, if you would like to, because I have enabled it, you can go to my server, jimscarver.by.ether.camp, and I'll put that in the chat. And you can actually watch me. You can actually watch me change code. Now, ordinarily, what is that? I'll see. Ordinarily, I'm not finding the chat. That's really weird. Oh, I guess I have to go out of full screen or whatever. Uh-oh, my wife is here. Give me 2 minutes, honey. I have to gonna have to take a minute break here, but I'm sorry I'm getting jumping around here to some extent, but I'm looking at the server log here to see what happened, and I can't tell why it didn't get started the web here, but I will find out. In any case, we have a URL that we can go to, okay, and we can choose the web directory, and we can choose, and the index.html is displayed automatically, talk among yourselves for about 1 minute, and I will return.
Is anybody messing around with ether.camp studio?
Let me just share for a second and mute.
Hey, Jim, I got to drop out, okay? I'll catch up with you another day.
See you, DSO.
Thank you.
Okay, how we doing?
We're doing, had a couple people drop off. But we're still,
Yeah, we had a lot of people drop off. Are you there? Got Mac on here? Type in the chat.
Says he's here. He's taking it all in. There's a lot of stuff.
Well, I would probably end the meeting now. I mean, we've gone an hour and a half. And Christian will have to chop off the rest of the proposal, the rest of the system. But, you know, while we're here, I might as well finish this part of the presentation anyway. We won't go over Jordy's contract code, but we will just complete basic demo of the sample application here, or the example, right, which is basically does almost nothing, but it shows that, you know, we can modify it to do something, or to do more easily. So it gives us a place to start. And we can change the name from example application to my application. I had, we have Mac has not entered anything in the chat, I don't think. I'm not sure if he's listening, but we would like to get some feedback from you, Mac, in terms of what your, if there's anything you would like us to answer for you or cover for you, we'd be happy to do so. Okay, so you'll notice here that I have my debug window open here. And this is, well, okay, when you hit the menu in your browser, okay, if you're using Foxfire, you're going to see a bunch of icons, with one with a wrench. If you're using Chrome, you're going to go to More Tools and Developer Tools. Okay, and that opens up these panes at the bottom here, which are for debugging. And what we're really interested in here is, you know, the console, the errors. We have
Your screen shared. Then.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Okay, so you know, in Chrome, the debugger tools were under More Tools here, Developer Tools. Okay, and that opens this bottom half of the screen here, which is the debugger. And what I can see is there's an error in here. It cannot read, property, interact, or ignore it, whatever it's saying here. But this is not a an error we have to worry about, because as we can see, this will work. So I'm just going to type hello world in the text box here. And as we can see, the button here says call app.js as another test. Well, we can see that the change I made to the index.html file is in here, even though we made the change after we started the web server. We changed the HTML file, and the change shows up here. So So I pressed the call button. Did I already press it? No, I just pressed it again. And now I go back to my workspace. I can see this name reg contract was called, and in my the Ethereum console popped up when I ran my sandbox, and then I can see the sandbox log of hello world. Okay, and if I look in the app.js, I can see that all it does here is it sends a transaction to the blockchain and then does a console log of whatever it got back, which is this from the web browser. So that's what printed this hello world on the log, because we did a console log. And this is the Ethereum console. With that, if we don't hear from Mac, I think we will continue next time. Unless there's something you want to say, Brent.
No, Jim, I just wanted to say thank you. Appreciate your due diligence and the training. And I thought your guest, Jordy and the Liquid Democracy, was certainly intriguing and tied that into the ether.camp quite well.
Yeah, I missed part of that. You're a little bit fuzzy. I don't know, maybe both of the microphones or whatever, but
I was just going to say thanks for the training. I thought your tie-in with Jordy and Liquid Democracy and the ether.camp went well. Just appreciate your due diligence.
all right. And, people did hang around an awful long time. And we've been over, we started 10 minutes before, and now we're 41 minutes after the hour. So we did what we could do in the time allotted. And it was nice that a number of people hung on so long.
Well, good job. I appreciate the training myself. 3 down now, plus several hours yesterday holding my hand.
Yeah. Now, if he made me maybe he made me an admin. If I try end meeting for all, it may stop the recording. I'll give it a shot.
Okay, I'll see you around the board.
All right. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.